Hello. Swing for the fences is what we're doing here. We're just talking a little baseball today. And we're all out in Mountain Time. We're in the Denver area, so it's 9:34 our time. DC has already complained to management about having to work with me too early. What time do you need to what time are you not going to be the most furious when you have to work with me, DC?
Yeah, the later the better. You know, okay. It's got to be acceptable to have a drink or two normally before I get on with Holden to loosen me up a little bit, get me in my happy place.
Yeah,
9:30 though, that's a little early to get started. So I've got to be here just with coffee and water, but we'll get through it. You know, I think the fact that we've got early baseball has me in a cheerful mood in general. Love day baseball early on in the season. And I was thinking, you know, it's crazy. We're on, I think this is day 6 of the MLB season. We haven't had a single game postponed due to weather, which seems crazy for this time of year. I don't even know if we've had a rain delay yet, which is just wild. Probably won't have one today either. So I've been, encouraged by the weather. Haven't had to break out my weatherman hat quite yet this season, and been a fun start. We've got some aces back on the hill making their second start for the first time today. So, baseball's been fun so far, and happy to be here with you fine fellas today talking some MLB.
Look at all the people in the chat here. Riley is from Lakewood. The Poe Degen Stoner is waking and bacon from Greeley, Colorado bitches. Okay. Like the way you phrased that. Mangone, wonderful to see you. It's warming up. It's almost time. We're within 2 months of heading up to the glacier, my friend. So I'm really looking forward to that. I hope you got your cardio up. I hope you've been working on your gluteus maximus, minimus, and medius. It's going to hurt. Not from me, from the mountain. Good morning.
Yeah, excited to do the glacier hike at some point. If I do go missing, the people will know at least. So they'll know where to start looking. I will say, too, we haven't had a core slate yet, right? Like, I've been enjoying baseball, but let me tell you, I am not a core slate kind of guy. Those things drive me nuts. But I'm excited to be here, talk some baseball, get some help from DC on the pitchers. I mean, one thing that's great about having DC here is he can find these really nice edges for us on pitchers early on in the season, right? Now, obviously, sample size is important, and it's only been one start, so you don't want to overreact, but DC can find us that edge, and I'm wondering if he's got any, like, interesting pitching takes that I'm not aware of that could be helpful. It's also early in the season where the pricing hasn't totally settled in yet, but seems like a fun slate, and we're leading right into the Masters, too, which is exciting. We got Red Gachik, who just joined us, Drew Matthews. We'll got the premium show tonight with Big T and them at 9 p.m. I'll be doing the bet show at 8 p.m. right before that. So Masters, baseball, basketball leading into the NBA playoffs. I mean, what a better time to be a member here.
I will say this, that he really emphasized, he said, DC can find us pitching in the beginning of the season. And I think he's right. Like, when are we going to start bailing on DC? When do we bail on you? Is it June, early June?
We don't bail on him then, but I'm just saying.
I mean, you came out, you said early in the season he finds these pitching gems. When does it fall off, Mangone?
My point is, there's some people that they assume one thing, and DC's like, nah, that's not it. That's not it. This guy sucks now, or this guy's way better than people realize. So that's the key here that I'm getting at. It's the early edge that sometimes people can't adjust to, right, DC?
I mean, if you go in the Discord, there's already a couple people that have bailed on DC after one or two bad picks. So that's just how it's gonna go. Those people, they can go their own way. It's all good.
Okay, all right. So since it's a free show, I usually do the premium shows. We'll be doing a final countdown for the NBA tonight. But here's what we got going on. We got to hit the like button. Where's my man Bill? He just does it for us. So I'm going to leave that up there for a second. What up, Bill? The second thing would be, if you want 15% off your first payment of a monthly installment, you can pick out your favorite RPS person and then probably just put 15 behind them. I don't like JT Hayes as much today as I have in the past. He made fun of cats and ghettos. So I'm going to go with Glock 15. GLOCK, because Mangone gave that to me last time. Glock 15% off your monthly subscription, first payment. As Mangone mentioned, we got the Golf. the golf team getting ready. I know AP Andrew Peterson is talking about Sox and stuff, but he's digging in on the Masters. All these guys, we're going to have cores up tonight. How do you not play the Masters if you're a DFS player and you don't even like golf? You got to play the Masters. You got to do it. Susie crushing in tennis. I know tennis. Hey, you want to make money? Go follow Susie. We got tennis. We got golf. Is MMA still going on? It's always going on, isn't it?
It's always going on.
No motocross. No motocross, but it's just about the only thing that we don't cover here. Baseball in full swing now. NBA playoffs coming up. We'll be grinding the playoffs. There's some nice slates and some nice prize pools for that as well. So lots going on at RPS. Let's get right into this here. We got a nice 9-game slate today. DC, before we get into the pitching, it's interesting. We do have some nasty winds again. I mean, it's just the wind. So you've got 10 miles in with the Yankees and the Phillies today. Good pitching matchup with Nolan Cole. 13 miles out to left field in Washington. And the key thing here is when it's warm, it's a small park, and it's 83 today there. Wow, we just got a whole bunch of snow yesterday here in Denver. That was my alarm to wake up, thanks to Bobby Hare, who tweeted out that we were doing this show today so I could show up and figure out that we were actually doing this show. That was great. 17 miles an hour out to right field in St. Louis today. So 65 and 17 mile an hour winds, 25 miles an hour out to left field in Chicago with the Sacks. Wow. We got some wind out there today, but nice. Not too much cold, not too much rain. DC, what are we doing to pitcher this afternoon?
Do you normally get up at 9:40 a.m., Holden?
No, honestly, I usually get up at 7:15, but I always set my, what if I don't wake up today? What if
you oversleep by 2.5 hours?
Yeah, what if I oversleep by 2.5 hours?
I do the same thing, Holden. I have like the emergency alarms. Like, it's been way too long. You need to figure it out. I'm with you, Holden.
Yeah, you have to. It's like I have four emergency alarms, DC. I'll set another one for this show if you don't start giving us pitching. Come on, man. What are we doing?
We'll get to the pitching. We'll start up top today. So we are seeing, like I said, the return of a bunch of opening day starters. I think opening day starts from Cole, DeGrom, Cease, McClanahan, Javier, Luzardo, Nola, maybe Webb too. So Pablo Lopez. So a bunch of these guys. Basically, if you just go down the list in their second round through the rotation, which I like, you get some data on what they looked like in that first start. Obviously watch most of those games too, but it does help to look at, just who's got the velocity, their movements, throwing strikes, all that good stuff. So a lot of aces today, and I expect most of these guys, honestly, to pitch pretty well. I think it's close between the top guys. I do have like Cole, the two highest priced pitchers on DraftKings, Cole at 9,800, DeGrom 9,500. I think it's close between those two, but I do lean Garrett Cole in that one. He looked awesome in that opening day start against the Giants. You know what you're going to get from him for the most part. Gets to pitch in Yankee Stadium where it's 50 degrees, wind blowing in. A Phillies team, which they do have a number of good hitters, of course, atop that lineup, but also a lot of strikeouts to be had, and they really haven't done all that much through the first few games of this season. So, yeah, I think Cole will approach or exceed double-digit strikeouts here. Going to give you close to 100 pitches, 6-7 innings. You just kind of know what he's going to do. Yes, Schwarber, Derek Hall, one of these guys could definitely tag him for a home run or two. But I feel very confident Cole's going to get the job done. Just a little bit more confident in him than DeGrom right now, who didn't have his best start in opening day, gave up a few runs. The strikeouts were still there. But the velocity wasn't quite what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 seasons, where he was like pretty much averaging over 100 miles per hour with the fastball. Still elite, right? Was sitting around 98, but I don't think he's going to be like the far and away best pitcher in baseball while he's healthy, if the velocity is down just a little bit like it was in that first start. So I've got Cole over DeGrom up top. If I was playing a bunch of lineups, though, I would certainly mix in both guys. I think both guys are excellent plays. From there, my highest owned pitcher today in my 20 lineups, kind of like yesterday when I went in on Kikuchi, who ended up being pretty solid for that price point. But Pablo Lopez for the Twins. So he's got a few things going on. The Twins acquired him from the Marlins, who actually faces today. So kind of an early revenge game here for Pablo Lopez. They traded Luis Arias for Lopez. And then they kind of changed up his arsenal a little bit, introduced a new slider, which he had never thrown for the Marlins. He had a really, really strong first start. He also looked really good in the World Baseball Classic. He's pitched really well in Miami over the years, obviously pitched for the Marlins. So we kind of have a long history of him pitching in that park where he was much better than he was on the road. And then, 7,400 for Lopez, really good matchup, good place to pitch. Yeah, I've got a lot of faith in Lopez here. I like the discount. If you look at like some of the hitting, there's not that many great hitting spots today with all the aces going and not that many great hitting environments. So I do think being able to save some money at pitcher makes some sense. So Pablo Lopez, my favorite overall pitcher on today at DraftKings, once you consider price and all that. And then Christian Javier, I think, can make a strong case for him too. Just way too cheap at 8,100. The results in that first start weren't great for him against the White Sox. What did he score? 11.8 fantasy points, something like that. The underlying metrics look really good, though. Pounded the zone with strikes, got a bunch of whiffs. It just didn't end up going his way results-wise in that first start. But I take much more after one start from the underlying metrics than I do from the actual, fantasy score that the pitcher actually put up. And Javier looked like he's going to be excellent going forward if he pitches like that. And I love picking on this Tigers team right now. Just a undisciplined team. They swing at everything, not a lot of power. And Christian Javier, I think he's $1,500 too underpriced. He should be priced up there with, I think, DeGrom and Cole, given how good this matchup is against the Tigers. So I think you can save a little bit of money. I really like that Christian Javier, Pablo Lopez pairing. DeGrom, Cole up top look good to me. Don't mind Corbin Burns. The Mets look – I think this could be a disaster season for the Mets. I mean, they lost their closer before the season even started. Justin Verlander starts the year on the IL. Max Scherzer rocked and pretty much he was okay his first start, but what did he give up, like 6 home runs yesterday, something crazy like that. And the Mets offense has been really bad too. So I think picking on the Mets right now is a decent option. I just have Burns a little bit behind the other guys, but still a good way to go. And then Shane McClanahan is kind of the last guy. Actually, one more guy, but Shane McClanahan. It's just the weather in DC. I mean, 85 degrees with winds blowing out is, like you mentioned, it's crazy how warm it is there for April 5th. Ball's going to be flying. Obviously, it's still a really good matchup against the Nationals, but it's just the weather is so conducive to hitting that I do have McClanahan a little bit behind. And then one last guy. If you want to go all the way down to the bottom and really save money.
Waiting for this, DC. I was waiting for this. You going Grayson?
I'm not going to play too much of him. I'm kind of torn on Rodriguez. So he is like a consensus top 3 pitching prospect in all of baseball. A lot of, prospect analysts have him number 1. But like if you looked at before spring training even started, the Orioles management was saying they expect him to pitch his way onto the starting rotation to start the year, but he's would have to earn it. He didn't earn it. He had a ERA over 7, a WHIP over 1.6 in his 4 spring training starts. So they sent him down, which was kind of a surprise. He made 1 start in AAA before getting this call. Didn't pitch very well. Only made it 4 innings over 75 pitches, only a couple strikeouts. Like again, a disappointing AAA start where you would think he would have had, max motivation, right? To go out there and dominate and kind of show the brass that he's ready to go. So he wouldn't be up right now if Kyle Bradish didn't get injured I think that was on Monday. He went on the IL. They had to go, kind of to their 6th starter. So basically they call on Grayson Rodriguez up by necessity here. So it doesn't seem like he's quite ready in terms of performance, but he does have great stuff, and he is also 4K, right? So I'm kind of torn on Grayson Rodriguez a little bit. I don't think you need him. I think you can get most of the bats that you want, or at least when I'm kind of playing with lineups, I can get most of the bats I want without going all the way down to Grayson Rodriguez. But there's no question he's got upside here with the stuff that he does possess. Cheapest pitcher on the board by 2K. So, I'm going to probably have 1 or 2 shares in my 20 lineups. I wouldn't go crazy with it. I don't think you need to, but he is certainly an option at that price point, given his talent and just how cheap he is.
Gotta like the Texas bats, though. He really did look bad in spring. And then
Yeah,
four innings. Do you think that they capped his first start or at just 4 innings? Or was he just not pitching well?
The Orioles are a little bit of both, I think. They've been cautious stretching out their young starters just in general, like a lot of low pitch counts, kind of 5 and dive type pitchers. So it does seem like they'll be cautious with him. I would be pretty surprised if he made it past 5 innings. But again, he's 4K, and if you play him, you pretty much get the pick of whatever the rest of your whole lineup, right? So if he does give you even 10 fantasy points, it could be enough on this slate. But there are a lot of aces, and I do think we'll see at least a couple big scores from pitching. So you will probably be behind the 8 ball a little bit at pitching. You'll have to make it up with the bats. That could very well work out. But yeah, a little bit on the fence with Grayson Rodriguez today.
Okay. So Mangone is sitting over here just absorbing everything. I'm sure you went to a different planet. We're also thinking about other things, but I also know your baseball early in the season here. Before we do that, though, Mangone, before I get to your pitching thoughts, how many likes are we shooting for the plays of the day today? We're sitting here with 83 likes at the beginning. I haven't even looked at the audience. About 300 watching, so it's an early baseball crowd. If I didn't know I was doing the show, other people must not know it's on. We'll get them going. How many likes, Mangone?
Yeah, so we're at 296 watching. Let's make it. We're gonna make it easy today, but we're also gonna add in some other stuff. We'll make it 150 likes. Just that's it. 150 likes. But you give me 200 likes. You give me 200 likes. We'll pick someone to give away some gear. So
what?
So for every 50 after. So 150 is the plays. 200 is for a gear. 250s for gear. 300s for gear. So we'll do it that way. We'll pick someone in the chat. So
wow, tiers. You're playing tiers with our audience, and I like it. All right, so 150, you get a play, 200 gear, 250 gear, 300 gear. All right, you got to take care of this. It seems very confusing for me. Anyways, I said use the code GLOCK15, 15% off your first payment of a monthly plan. I'm changing that as much as I love Glock. Bobby15, because Bobby let me know that the show is going on. Bobby here, Bobby15. Mangone, can we just start here like a 4K pitcher today? Rodriguez, again, it opens everything up for you. Everything.
Yeah, I don't like this is my issue. Like typically the Rodriguez thing makes sense when Garrett Cole is 12K, but Garrett Cole is not 12K. He's 9.8K. I just don't think it makes any sense to play Rodriguez. I think you're taking on way too much risk. And it would make sense if, for instance, the slate was Garrett Cole and just a bunch of clowns, right? But it's not. There's a lot of really good pitchers on this slate. On top of that, the roof is open in Texas, right? And I actually think it's going to make the Texas stack interesting. I think I'm going to take some chances on them a little bit in tournaments today. But let's dive into the pitching a little bit deeper. So one thing is I did like the Pablo Lopez call by DC. That was one guy I was thinking a little bit about. I didn't know the whole thing with this slider, right? So that's encouraging to me. I also was thinking about, do I need to go down to that range? That's one reason I don't even need Rodriguez. I feel like I can double spend up if I wanted to. Now the question is, how do we feel about Jacob deGrom? Obviously didn't look incredible in his first performance. Do we need to spend on him? Do we think he's going to be the raw points guy? He had 7 strikeouts, right? But he gave up 5 earned runs. We know what his upside is. I mean, deGrom is definitely in play, but it's Garrett Cole over Jacob deGrom. Cole looked a lot better. I think the ownership is going to show that way too. I also think if you're looking for the cash game combination that everyone's going to go, or if I told you what 2 pitchers combined have the most ownership together, it's the Garrett Cole and Christian Javier combo. I think most people will go those 2 together. Now you can make the argument that Christian Javier, it's not the most ideal matchup and that wind is blowing out. So is there a way that he could fail? Yeah, sure. But he will be the second highest owned pitcher followed by Garrett Cole. It'll be them 1 and 2. Jacob deGrom, I think, is a good pivot off of Cole, or a good, hey, if you want to just go double spend up for pitcher, I think that's perfectly fine. Another guy that I haven't heard DC talk about, and I kind of want to get some takes from him, and I think it's partially because of that, the wind in that game. Dylan Cease, right? He gets the matchup against the Giants. I do think that Dylan Cease should be in play a little bit here. We know what his strikeout upside can be. And he's just someone that I think will be under 10% in that range, because if you don't play Cole and you don't play deGrom and then you don't play Javier, like it's just in this dead range that people are not going to go to. So I think Dylan Cease is a pretty interesting tournament option that I'm considering. I'm not that scared of this Giants offense. So overall, I think that Dylan Cease, really good contrarian tournament option. I think Pablo Lopez will be a slight pivot off of Javier, but I don't think he's going to be super sneaky. But I'd say if I had to rank him, it's Garrett Cole is probably my top pitcher. I'd say a lot of people are going to like Christian Javier, but I'm probably not going to play that combination of Javier and Cole as much just because everyone else is doing it. I want to find a pivot at pitcher, and it'll likely be either to a Pablo Lopez for cheaper if I need the salary, or it'll be to like a Dylan Cease or a Jacob deGrom. Those are really my top 5 pitchers that I'm currently looking at here on this slate over on DraftKings.
Yeah, just to add a couple things. We talked about it yesterday, Holden, on the premium show. Did Max Scherzer end up being the chalk? I mean, I was talking about, like, I don't think, just given the state of baseball right now, all the changing rules, the changing environments, in general, I don't think you want like the super expensive chalk pitchers just because they haven't worked out for the most part, right? Like it just, there's so many variables right now where I feel more confident in general, spending on who we view as the best hitters compared to what the field views as the best pitchers, because we've seen these guys just go down time and time again. Now, I do think, like you said, I mean, Cole, what'd you say, Cole, Javier, Mangone, you think will be the most popular combination?
I think that's the most popular combination. If I had to pick, I would just go Cole, because I don't think salary matters that much to me. I would just go Cole over Javier and then embrace that Javier could be, I get it, the matchup's good and everything, but I just think I'd rather take my chances on Cole, but I understand it. And I just think the key for me is not playing that combination together. You can play both of them, but I just, like, if I was MME, I'd probably group them away from each other just so I got different combinations than the field.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if we want to stay away from chalk pitchers in general, you certainly don't want to pair the two chalkiest guys, we think, on the slate together. So I like that call. I mean, I do like both pitchers a lot. I do expect both guys to pitch well. But yeah, I think going the two highest owned pitchers in tournaments doesn't make a lot of sense right now from where I'm sitting, especially when on this slate. I mean, I mentioned, 6-7 guys that you can play. Yeah. I mean, I even left off a couple more. I mean, you could easily play Jesus Luzardo, I think, is a fine play. Dylan Cease, you mentioned Mangone. I like him a little bit, although I do like the Giants are actually my favorite, like, super contrarian stack of the day. We saw them just hit bombs off of Kopech. I think they hit like 6 home runs off of him. And now you got like extreme hitting weather in Chicago, and Cease, as talented as he is, he also led major leagues in walk rate of all starting pitchers last year. He's a pitcher who can, kind of implode at times. And given that weather, you get some guys on base and all of a sudden I could see things going south for Cease. I could also see a dominant performance like he had in that first outing. He is kind of one of those boomer bust type pitchers, but nobody's going to play the Giants, obviously, and extremely good hitting conditions. They've got a bunch of lefties. You can run on Cease. I do see some paths where the Giants get there. I will have a couple Giant stacks myself, but I do get the Cease love as well, especially given what we think will be relatively low ownership.
Okay. That would be the pitching breakdown. Like button would be wonderful. 345 watching. All right. So now we've got the audience starting to pick up here. And if you just joined us, because quite a few did between the last time Mangone talked about the things we'll be giving away, we're at 131 likes. You get to 150, what you're going to do, you get DC's biggest play of the day. 200, you get gear. Another 50 to 250, you get gear. 300, you get gear. I mean, it's all the way up to 1,000. We get 1,000 likes today, Mangone. Then what? We got to give away a free subscription.
Tell you, for every 50 we go up, I'll give gear away. It's that simple. Let's
what?
Push it home today. Yeah, so if we go from 300 to 350, we'll give away gear. 350 to 400, we'll give away gear.
Okay. I thought you said a year, but you said
no. We're not giving away yearly subs.
Yeah,
not so fast. Just gear. The gear's great. It lasts a while, and everyone loves the good run pierce.
If we get 1,000 likes, I'll give away a yearly sub.
There we go.
1,000 likes. Yeah, and Iceberg would be very upset if we gave away.
I feel like I'm pretty safe, hopefully.
Yeah. Give away Holden's beanie. Says I'm never getting one. And listen, there's going to be retaliation against Big T. I think he knows that I'm that type of person, and that's just what's going to happen. It's going to be a bloodbath. Anyways, I am awake, Akins. I'm awake, dude. I've been awake since 7 something this morning. Way too early. I watched The Mandalorian, then I got to work because Bobby Hare let me know that I'm doing a show. Anyways, Bobby 15% off. your first month's payment of a monthly plan, at least a monthly plan. You should just do a yearly plan because the cost is better. But what are you getting right now? Masters coming up tomorrow. You get the premium show. You get all of the cores. You get the playbook. I mean, this golf team is sensational. I'm going to bring up tennis one more time. If any of you looking to make some money, Susie's been on fire. There's no question about that. DC and the boys here. Boynton's been rolling. All these guys in baseball. And then, of course, our NBA team. Mangone, JSU, Big T, AP. I know I'm going to miss a couple of guys that are going to get upset at me, but that's fine. Monster crew.
By the way, I want to correct this. Someone said in the chat that the roof is closed in Texas. I said it was open, and I was wrong because the Miami roof is open. So my apologies there. That's the one that's open, and Texas's roof is closed. So I've got the names of the stadiums I don't have all correct still.
Just a little confusion between two states that are completely.
I thought Lone Depot Park for some reason I thought was Texas. Okay. Again, it's early in the season. When I get the notifications, they should just say, "Hey, the Texas roof is closed," and the Miami one. We don't have to put the stupid parks names. Okay, I don't want to memorize each one.
No, nobody wants to. How many do you think you'd get any park wrong, DC? If I brought up like all 30 parks, how many would you get wrong? Because we have no fucking.
What are we asking? The name of the parks?
How many would you get wrong?
Oh, I get a lot wrong. Yeah. They change their names so often now. I can't remember all the different banks and insurance companies that sponsor the parks.
Yeah.
That's
all right. By the way, DC's core is up. So again, Bobby 15. If you want 15% off, and then you get DC's core, and you get who else is doing core? G Risen's back doing cores. Boynton, Gary, all these guys. Okay. We're going to move on.
Hit for 10K so far this MLB season, and it was a day his cores was out there. So, don't forget to tail the G Rising core. It's hot right now.
It is hot. It's hot, like Bob out the Aquatot. Let's get to the Yankees and the Phillies here. DC, I don't know about stacking. Do we want any one-offs from this game with Nola and Garrett Cole? Somebody's going to hit a home run today.
Yeah, I mean, I had Schwarber in one of my 5 or 6 one-offs yesterday. He had a big day. That's going to be a kind of a common occurrence against any pitcher, right-handed pitcher that gives up home runs. So, yeah, Schwarber is definitely the guy you want if you're trying to pick one off against Garrett Cole. I think he's a pretty good option as a one-off. Nobody will play him. But, man, just huge power. And Cole does give up home runs. That's his biggest weakness. You could play Garrett Cole. Again, those two lefties are really the only guys I'm looking at on the Phillies. Wouldn't go crazy with it. But I do think they're strong one-offs. Not going to stack the Phillies against Garrett Cole. Not the day for that, in my opinion. We didn't mention Aaron Nola. Talked about him on opening day a little bit. He struggled in the spring, and then I was kind of off him on opening day. Didn't look super great then either. So, yeah, wait and see approach for me on Nola. I'm not going there even at that $7,700 price tag, which is definitely too low for Nola if he's kind of his normal self. But I do have some concerns about him right now. So, yeah, if I'm concerned about Nola, I guess that brings the Yankees bats into play a little bit. But 50 degrees with wind blowing in New York is not very good for hitting. So I would probably limit it to Judge and Rizzo. No Stanton in the lineup today. Maybe Volpe at the bottom. He should be able to run on Nola. But, yeah, pretty mostly out on this game outside of Cole, obviously, and then Schwarber and Garrett Cole, those two big lefty bats for Philly, I think are good one-offs, but wouldn't go crazy with this game.
I'm calling a Schwarbomb right now. Schwarbomb. 5,300. Mangone, what do you want to do with the Yankees and the Phillies?
Well, I talked about it before. The salary's not that tight today, right? So because of that, if you have the ability to grab Aaron Judge, sure, that sounds great, right? Like, feel free to do it. But other than that, I'm not really playing anyone from this game. I think this game's kind of a full fade for me. Yankee stacks I could get against Nola, but again, I think there's better spots to attack. So mainly Aaron Judge is a one-off. I like to do 5-2-1s a lot. So if I have a cheap stack, which I have one that's kind of cheap later on that I might be able to get the Aaron Judge, that'll definitely be in the conversation to play him. But mainly just one-off as Aaron
Judge. Dark Bluers in the chat. Please don't talk about me sitting in my underwear. It's disgusting. Nobody needs to hear that. And that's about it. So Dark Bluers, you are out of the running for free gear once we get to 200. It's disgusting. We have hit DC's play of the day, though. We got to 150. Mangone, hey, he said you get to 200, you get gear. You get to 250, 300, every 50, you're getting gear. So hit the like button if you want some gear. Audience is now where it needs to be. A nice hearty audience here on this Wednesday morning. Game number 2. I feel like, we don't have to pick up the pace. We got plenty of time. We got an hour until the pitch, first pitch. This will be the game here, right, DC? 80-something degrees in DC. Ballpark plays really small when it's warm. Wind is blowing out. Does it matter that the Rays are going to be super chalk considering it's baseball and we can get different other places? Because they got the highest implied total at 5.3.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're chalk, if they absolutely smash, which I do expect them to smash here. It's baseball. Like yesterday was very big on the Cardinals. They were really bad. I will say, part of the appeal was the Cardinals. They were going up against the Braves rookie lefty, who did have some kind of question marks around him about how good he's going to be going forward. And we just didn't know that much about him. He kind of came out of nowhere this spring. We know who Patrick Corbin is, right? I mean, he's been probably the most profitable pitcher to stack against over the last 2 or 3 seasons. When he gets hit, it's home runs. Just gets nuked 20% of the time. He just gets absolutely blasted, and you almost have to stack against him. He also gives up stolen bases. The Rays have some speed at the top of that lineup. And the Rays in general have been pretty on fire to start this year. Their bats look really good to me to start the year. And we have pretty clearly the best hitting environment on the entire slate in this game against the worst pitcher, against one of the best lineups. They've got, I believe, 9 right-handed bats, which is what you want against Patrick Corbin in there. It's, again, no guarantees in baseball, obviously, in any sport really, but especially in baseball, there's so much variance from start to start. But I feel really good about the Rays today. They will be my personal highest-owned team. They're going to be the highest-owned team in general. I get it. But this is a spot where there's not that many good offenses in play, honestly. With all the good pitchers going, this is, in my opinion, clearly the best spot on the slate. So, yeah, I'll eat the chalk here, try to get a little bit different at pitcher. Maybe you don't want to go with the Cole, Javier, Rays combination, right? All 3 kind of chalk options. So maybe get different, Pablo Lopez or who else will be a little bit lower owned at pitcher. I mean, Shane McClanahan, I think, will be a little bit lower owned, wherever you want to go, but just try to get a little different at pitcher, maybe if you're going with the Rays. But when it comes down to it, I would rather play the chalk bats here than the chalk pitchers. I think that's my priority on this slate. In order on the Rays, in terms of who I would prioritize, Rosarena, number 1 for me, power speed, Wander Franco 2, Yandy Diaz 3, and then a pretty big drop off from those top 3, but I would rank them beyond that. Margot, Paredes, and then Jose Siri hitting 8th, but has power and speed down in that 8 hole too. So yeah, Rays are my top stack today. I personally think they kind of should be everybody's, but they won't be. They'll come in Mangone, 20-25% owned, something like that, I think. Maybe a little higher. But that's okay with me, given what I expect from them. I think they're going to have a big day here against Patrick Corbin, and that, let's not forget, terrible Nationals bullpen behind him as well. They got blown up last night as well. So, yeah, I'm in on the Rays. Nothing here for me with the Nationals against Shane McClanahan. Joey Meneses would be the one guy I would consider, but don't know if I'll even get to him on 20 lineups of my own.
Mangone, Rays, Nationals. What do you got from this one?
Yeah, before I do that, WV Reeser in the chat says Reds game delayed. That game doesn't matter. So it's on some showdown slate that doesn't matter for the show. So don't care about that game. Don't worry about it. The Rays, DC, before I dive into it, this is actually the question I want to ask you. I feel like people will find this helpful, and you'll know this answer better than me. Who are the pinch hit risks? Which ones are you most concerned about? That, again, sometimes people are filling out their 5-man stacks, and a lot of people hand build at times in MLB. Who are the guys that not saying you're going to stay away from, but you could be a little more concerned that they could be a pinch hit risk?
Yeah, Isaac Paredes, who's hitting 3rd today, and then Harold Ramirez are the 2 guys most likely to come out of the game. I think everybody else will be safe. For sure, Diaz, Franco, and Rosarena, the three guys that I like the best. Almost certain, barring unforeseen blowout or injury or something, I think those guys will stay in it. So, yeah, problem is Paredes, and especially Paredes, is just crushing the ball.
Yeah.
He's hitting third, and he's 3,400, right? Like
and second base sucks, right?
He takes Corbin yard in the first inning and gets pinch hit for whatever. So I still do like him. Normally I do avoid those guys, but the matchup's so good for him, and he's so hot right now that I think at 3,400, it's a risk I'm willing to take.
And again, second base isn't great today, right? That's another key reason why you can make the argument for Paredes is a great play. But the Rays are good. I think I'm going to keep the Rays to more mini stacks and like one-offs instead today. I get it. I think the Rays are the best stack on the board. And if you told me no one was playing them, I would want to have a lot of them. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to see a Rosarena come in at 30 to 40%. You're going to see Paredes come in at maybe 40 to 50%. You're going to see Franco and that is just a concern for me. We laugh about, I like to make fun of the Braves and how a lot and be like, I'm not going to play them because they're chalk a lot, right? And I just don't like playing the chalk stack. Whoever chalk stack number one is on the board, I don't like to play the 5-man. Now, if you are going to play the 5-man, if you want to play them, mix in these guys in the bottom of the order, right? Feel free to embrace some of these plays that people are not going to go to. Maybe it's a Mejia at 2.9. Maybe it's Siri at 2.7 or Walls at 2.3. Just make sure you mix in those guys at the bottom of the order. Because if you don't, you just play the 1 through 5. You got to find somewhere to be different. And you don't want to just do it with only your secondary stack and just bet on that to be the way to get the job done. So I think DC brought up good points on how you can get different, but I do think that this is definitely something that I'm just going to, no 5-man stacks for me here. Mainly looking at the 3 or 2-man stacks, the secondary ones on this slate with them. The national side of the ball, I don't really have that much interest in these options against McClanahan. I considered some of these options like Meneses and some of these other ones that DC said, but they're mainly one-off guys. If you want to take them here and there, that's fine. And I typically like to play, when we have the Washington game and it's really hot out and the wind's blowing out, I like to grab some of these nationals that run as run backs that people will not play. But I just don't think McClanahan in this slate is the right spot to do it. So I'll just kind of sit and wait on the national side.
Okay.
I'll say this about Corbin. As bad as he's been, he's getting up there in age. I think he's getting worse. His velocity on all 3 of his pitches was down 2 miles per hour in his first start, which may or may not hold, but he'll take a significant step back even from how bad he was last year if his stuff is declining even further. I think he's going to get killed today, honestly.
Literally killed? He's going to die?
Yeah, probably not die. We'll not go that far, Holden, but
One thing they might.
He might. They might hit some rockets up the middle.
I don't know if this matters, DC, but I don't know if DC stream just died. I think it did right when we were talking about this, but Corbin did barely pitch that first game, right? He came out after an inning or two, or it was not that long. They gave him the quick hook. So one of these games, they're just going to leave him out there and they're just going to let him die. They're going to let him pitch 5 innings of meatballs, if that makes sense.
I think I lost you guys for a second, but the Nationals bullpen also really bad and really worn out right now. It's just a really tough spot for the Nationals here.
Yeah, DC. So I was just saying while you're kind of frozen, this might be a spot where they just say, okay, pitch 5 innings, even if he's throwing meatballs, right? There is a chance that happens sometimes with some of these bad arms. They're well, the bullpen's tired already, and we're just gonna literally
we're paying you $25 million a year. You gotta wear one on the chin today. That could be Patrick Corbin today for sure.
Yeah.
Good. Like button. Where are we at? We got DC's play at 150. You get another 21 likes, get us to 200. Somebody gets some gear. Then you get us to 250. Somebody else gets some gear. 300, more gear. So let's go. Like button. Doesn't matter if you're a subscriber or not. Get it in there and we'll get you some gear. Oh, boy. So our next game, DC, that we're going to look at, and I got to go pull up my Saber Sim right now. One of the great features you get at Run Pure Sports. Minnesota and Miami playing in the Dome. Is there a... God, it's the fucking Twins. Pardon my French. Any Twins one-offs we can go with today against Luzardo, or is this just a complete fade?
Mostly a fade. The right-handed power, I think, is fine. Buxton and Miranda, maybe Carlos Correa would be the guys that I would look at. But, Yeah, this is a day where we can just write off the Twins if we want to. I know Mangone's eager to do so, so he won't be going to the Twins. I won't have much Twins action either. I do expect a pitcher's duel here, honestly, between Lopez and Luzardo. Like I said, love Lopez. I think Luzardo himself is a pretty good play, and I won't have many hitters here at all.
Mangone?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to the Twins. Although when I ran stuff for FanDuel specifically, I got a lot more Twins than I was expecting.
It's super cheap on FanDuel.
Yes, I definitely got a lot over there, so I was a bit surprised. But I could see. I mean, Luzardo, Luzardo can get wild, right? But he's one of those guys that, like, I felt like last year was when he got wild. And, like, this is going to be the year where he just dials it in, and you're not.
He's a really, really good, talented pitcher. I don't think he's going to get blown up very often.
I agree. I think the point was, like, it's kind of like when these young pitchers come up, sometimes they have like these starts where it's like they'll walk 3 guys and they'll strike 3 out in like the same inning, right? And like he was that guy, but now he's dialed it in more and he has more composure and he's gotten experience. So I'm not doing it on this slate. I don't think it's necessary. If it was a shorter slate and like Luzardo was like 60 or 80% on, you can make a case for leverage, right? But it's not the right slate for it.
Okay. We'll move on to Atlanta and St. Louis. Tyler O'Neill, he's not starting today, as he got in trouble last night for lack of hustle. So that doesn't work out too well for him. Atlanta, St. Louis. Okay. Here we go again with these two teams. DC, wind blowing out, right center, 15 to 20 miles an hour today. Closer to 15, I should say. Who you want to pick from this one?
Yeah, I like both these offenses. Again, I know they disappointed yesterday. It happens sometimes. We also saw, like, the Braves had an incredible game defensively that kind of stifled any potential Cardinals rallies. It's baseball. It happens. It's one day. But we've got 2 very mediocre pitchers in Michaelis and Bryce Elder on the hill. Another, pretty damn good hitting weather, 65, 70 degrees, winds out to center field. And then it was a kind of a closer, lower scoring game yesterday. So we did see both teams use most of the good pitchers in their bullpen as well. So we could see this game, some of the back end bullpen guys come out after Elder and Michaelis exit the game, which probably is not going to be much longer than 4 or 5 innings for either guy, honestly. So yeah, I think this could be one of those kind of flop lag spots where everybody was on Cardinals and Braves yesterday. It didn't work out. Maybe people jump off, but I'll certainly be mixing these guys in my lineups. I do prefer the left-handed bats on both sides of the ball. So Olsen and Michael Harris specifically on the Braves. And then for the Cardinals, listen, of course you can play guys like Goldschmidt and Arenado, but given the salaries and ownership, I do prefer Brendan Donovan and Nolan Gorman are kind of my 2 favorite Cardinals. So I'm not going full stack here, but certainly kind of filling out lineups with one-offs, I think, is a good way to go, especially given the environment. Much easier to hit a home run here than it will be at other times of the season, especially relative to some of the parks on this slate. So give me the lefty power bats. Again, that's Olsen, Harris, Donovan, Gorman, my 4 favorite plays, 2 from each side in this game.
You want anything to do here? Imagine that. Harris is hitting 5th. We had him in the 9th spot all year last year. What a cash cow he was. Mangone, Atlanta, St. Louis.
Yeah, Atlanta, St. Louis is definitely a game we have to consider. It's not one we're going to breeze over. I do like the call that DC said with these lefties. I think Brendan Donovan is one that I'm going to like a little bit. I think at the price of 4 too, like people could just overlook him a bit.
He's looked so good to start the year too. Yeah, I like to play a lot.
And I assume because, you can put Paredes at third base, but I think Donovan gets under-owned a little bit, right? Would you agree, DC?
Yeah, I think that price tag still is a little bit high. He'll have some ownership, but yeah, I think he'll be a little bit under-owned.
Yeah, I think he's a good play. You can make a case for some of these other cheap outfielders too, like help with the stack, like a Burleson at 2.6K. You got Jordan Walker down at 2.6 as well, another outfielder you can take a chance on. It's a talented player. I mean, Dylan Carlson at 3.5. This lineup is good, right? Like it's just flat out simple. I like the Cardinals. I like them more than the Braves here. I think the Braves are not bad too. I'm wondering what their ownership is going to be. Do you think they're going to be lower owned, DC? I'm kind of torn on that. If you tell me they're single digits overall, I'm kind of more interested against Mikolas, but I'm not sure exactly how I want to go about them yet.
I think they'll be a little bit under owned. Their total's not super high. We're a little bit disappointing yesterday, and I don't know. I think people maybe have too much respect for Michaelis. I'm not sure, but I mean, he doesn't strike anybody out, and this Braves team just has so much power that you're going to tell me they're going to put the ball in play in this weather with this kind of lineup. They've got a good chance to do a lot of damage, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I played Toronto on opening day against Mikolas, and I was very happy with my performance that they got. It got the job done. So the Braves are in the conversation for me. I don't know where they are on the list, but they're not at the top, but they're definitely in the conversation. I definitely want to kind of wait until we get a little closer to lock to make my decision on them. But if people aren't going to be on them as much, I think it's something I'm a little bit interested in. So that's definitely something I'll run through. But this is a good game. It's a 9 total, right? This is good for this slate. And definitely a spot that I have some interest in with the wind blowing out. And it's going to be, 65 degrees? This is a game that absolutely. I'm going to get exposure to for sure.
Okay, here we go. We're 2 away from 200 likes. Once we hit that, somebody's getting some gear. You're already getting DC's play of the day. 198 likes. So you got to 150, you get to 200, you get gear. And then every 50 after that, somebody's getting some RPS gear. So we'll go as high as we can. The next game to get to would be what? It will be Pittsburgh and Boston. I watched a lot of this game last night. Total went way under. And then I don't want to watch it today. And even though the Red Sox have a almost 5-run implied run total, their offense has been garbage to start. At least last night it was, I should say. And the weather is just going to be miserable, DC. Absolutely miserable baseball weather. It's going to be damp. It's going to be 40s. It's going to be wind blowing in 10 to 15. Ugh. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, these are 2 pitchers I do think we want to pick on for large portions of the year. But like you said, 40 degrees and wind blowing in, going to be tough to do damage via the long ball in this game. So in these types of games, if I'm going to it, I do kind of like to go with the full on stack. The weather, like I said, it's going to be hard to hit home runs, no question, in Boston today. But sometimes this miserable weather can affect the pitchers too, right? Like they're cold out there, they can't grip the ball, they can't throw strikes, and so you do sometimes see these pitchers kind of implode, not from home runs, but just struggling out there on the mound. I think that's possible for both Kluber and Keller. Kluber did pitch opening day for the Red Sox. That was a game the Orioles, I think they stole 6 bases off of him. We're just running wild. He's an easy pitcher to run on in general. So I do like the 2 guys at the top of the lineup, O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds, both have power and speed. Reynolds on fire to start the year, and Cruz, we know what he can do. He can hit it out of any park, no matter what the weather is. So I do like those guys up top. I think they've got, home run and stolen base upside, but not going too much else on Pittsburgh. And then if I went to the Red Sox, I do like picking on Mitch Keller in general. I just haven't been impressed with what he's shown us. We'd probably just go with the 1 through 5 stack with the Red Sox and hope that Keller sucks like he often does. But yeah, I don't love one-offs here. And then if I'm going to the Pirates, probably putting Cruz and Reynolds together on a team. They're really expensive. Nobody's going to play them. But I do think both guys have upside despite the tough hitting conditions.
Mangone, Boston, Pittsburgh, ugly weather. Any interest?
Yeah, I don't have interest, but I think other people are going to. I actually think they're going to have more ownership than I'm expecting. I think people are just going to be like, well, it's in Fenway, and Fenway's been good. And people have just been playing Pittsburgh and the Red Sox, and they've just been playing this series, and they're playing that Red Sox-Baltimore series, and they just feel like, well, it absolutely crushes, right? So, and it's an 8-5 total. It's not a bad one, but I'm just a little more worried. Sure, could runs be scored? But the question is, what kind of runs are going to be scored, right? With the wind blowing in 41 degrees, an RBI single ain't the same as a home run, right? And I'm not as excited about this game. And if the other people are going to be on it, this is a spot where I can just take a strong stance and fade and go to some other spots. I've already had some I liked. I have a couple other spots that we'll get to that I like a little bit that I think are a little off the board. So I'm out on this game.
Okay. Like button. Did we get to 200? Yes, we did. So somebody's getting some gear before we end the show.
I have the way to do it, Holden. I have the very simple way. We're going to give the gear away right now. So someone asked in the chat, they just said, how do we get the gear? And my thought process was, let's give it to someone that's already in the chat doing all the right things, right? They've already hit the like, they're hanging out, asking questions, they're bringing good mojo. I'm not going in there and being like, make us laugh in this way, and then you're finding some way to do it. I'm just picking someone that's doing things without having the incentive, right? and it's Jason Graham. We're going to go with him. Send me a DM on Twitter at Travis Mangone. So send me the DM there, and I'll get the swag set up for you. He's asking about Luzardo strikeouts, or he's asking questions. He's talking to Biz in the chat, saying that he likes it. He's contributing in great ways to the chat. So Jason, you're the winner of the first set of swag. If we get to 250, I'll give away another piece of swag. I don't know how I'll pick it. We'll figure it out as we get there, but that was the first way I decided we're picking it.
A quick question. If he does not have Twitter, can he hit you up on OnlyFans, Snapchat? What else do you have?
My Mangone fans account is down right now, so we won't be using that. But Discord's another way too. But I'm sure he can find a way to get to me. If not, he can I don't know, let me know in the YouTube chat. I guess if he wants to put his address out there and everything, that's a bold move. But if he wants to, sure.
Here, Holden, my 88% discount code didn't work from last week. Aaron Henry. I don't remember telling anyone there was an 88% discount, but yeah, you should have known it wasn't going to work if I was going to give you a discount. Big T gave you a big discount. We give you a big discount. I'm not giving you a discount. It just doesn't happen. Also, never a better time to sign up for Run Pure Sports. I know all of our coordinators say it, but this time I'm saying it. You know it's for real if I say it. So much going on. NBA playoffs coming up. We'll have full slates. We got the tournament coming up in 6 days. So lots going on there. You get our NBA package, Big T, JSU, AP, everybody that does basketball with us. Mangone and his 3 max title if you play cash, et cetera, et cetera. Then we've got baseball. Obviously, you get everything from DC behind the paywall. Once in a while, JT Hayes will make himself useful. Gary's up there. Uncle T's up there. Stevie Boyton's up there. So we got that. And then the ancillary sports, tennis, MMA. Susie's been killing it in tennis. MMA, we've been doing good. And the big one, the Masters, starting up tomorrow. You want Tony's score, Big T? You want JSU's score? You want who's our new guy? We got a new guy here too, Mangone. We just bolstered our golf team.
Yep, Red Kachik, Drew Matthews.
Yeah.
He's got some great insight. He's going to be on the premium show tonight too with Big T. So be sure to check that out. I already had a nice call with him, Big T, and a bunch of other guys. And listen, I don't think you guys will be disappointed by him. He offers some fun takes, and he'll fire at Big T. He's not going to be afraid. I'm not saying on the first show he'll definitely fire. I know people like when it kind of gets combative at times, and Big T says one player's got a big noodle, and then the other guy argues back. So yeah, I think Drew's going to bring a fire show with Big T tonight, and JSU will be there as well. Who knows? Maybe Big T will convince JSU to drink some alcohol. That's always a great time when he gets that going.
All right, we need to hustle, guys, because we've been on the air for almost an hour. We still got a few. We have a few games left. Was it 4 games? We'll be okay. 34 minutes. Brewers and the Mets. DC, we're talking about the Mets offense kind of getting off to a slow start. Then you got the Brewers on the other side. This is a game to me I'm not interested in. Do you have any interest?
No, this game's mostly a pass for me, including both pitchers. Don't love the offenses here. It'd be the Brewer side that I'd more likely to go to. I mean, they did hit like 8 home runs yesterday, so obviously that park kind of playing up. It always does, but especially so far this year, really looks like a good home run park. But I do have respect, obviously, for both these guys, and just think there are better spots. So we'll move on quickly from this one. I'm not going to really any hitters here at all.
What do you got here, Mangone?
Yeah, not so fast, my friend DC. This is a good one for me. I think this Brewer stack, I think, is interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Peterson. I think he's fine. I think he's got strikeout upside, but he has the ability to blow up too, right? I think this is not a bad spot. I did call the American Roof hotline, and the roof is closed if that matters. So the roof will not be open there in Milwaukee. But we got some really good values, I think, in this game, right? For one, let's start with Mike Purcell at the one hole, right? He's 2.2K. Really nice value if you want. Adames then at 5.3 is a good play. If you have money to spend, are you really spending on Christian Yelich, lefty? Like, people just don't love to do that. I think you'll get him low on. One thing I do love is when you get like a catcher that's like actually good. Like, one reason we love the Dodgers is when we can just roster Will Smith at our catcher position or our 5-man. We don't have to worry about rostering some dusty catcher that we don't like. Like, William Contreras is a good hitter. Then you got Luke Voigt, who's a power guy at 2.9K as a value. I think he's in play. Brian Anderson has already had 2 monster games this year at 3K. You can put him at third base or the outfield. There's some really good options here. You don't have to go to Winker, lefty. I don't think I need to here. Owen Miller, fine if you want a punt at the second base position. That's one thing I like. He's 2.1K. You can put him at second. And it just helps your full lineup because, again, we don't love the second base position today. So overall, I like this Brewers stack a bit. I'm interested. DC talked about how the Mets are kind of unraveling a bit. And listen, when that happens, it can happen with everyone, right? It can just be a full-on effect. So I think this is a great spot for the Brew Crew.
Where are we here? 213 likes. You get to 250. Somebody else gets some gear. We are moving on to our next game on the slate. Texas and Baltimore. DC, you and I discussed a little bit going up against Grayson Rodriguez, who has not had the best time of it, including spring training. Okay in his first start. What was that, AAA? So are there some Texas bats you're interested in this afternoon? And what do you want to do with the O's in a tough matchup?
Texas seems like a team that you just full stack and just hope that Grayson Rodriguez doesn't have it here in his MLB debut, which, he hasn't had. Wasn't good in spring, wasn't good in his first minor league start. We know he's talented, but the evidence that we have so far this year suggests that he might struggle in this first start. So we don't have any real, data on him to kind of pick out individual hitters, what he might struggle with. So, yeah, if I'm going Texas, I'm kind of just lining them up probably 1 through 5 and hoping Grayson doesn't have it. I think that makes some sense, but I wouldn't go crazy with it. Orioles side, one-offs I think are okay. You can run on Jacob deGrom. So Cedric Mullins at the top of the lineup, I do think makes some sense. He'll be at 5,700. I mean, you might get him sub 1% perhaps, and he's got power and speed. So I don't mind that. I think you could go to Gunnar Henderson as well, kind of the same idea, hitting fifth, but wouldn't go to the full stack against DeGrom. Just seems too thin. But yeah, those lefty guys with power and speed, I think make some sense as one-offs against DeGrom. But yeah, I wouldn't go crazy here.
What do you got here, Mangone? DeGrom against the rookie, Baltimore, Texas.
Yeah, I agree with DC. Like, if you're going to play this Texas team, it's likely in like the full stack. So I am going to play some Texas. I'm definitely going to. I'm playing like 75 teams over on FanDuel. They're going to be part of my my stacks. I'm going to have them as 4-mans and as the 3-mans or 4-mans if I do 4-4. So I like Texas. I think they're in the conversation today. I don't think people are going to have as much exposure. And it's mainly just betting on Rodriguez not being great. Also, not many people I think are going to go this Rangers team. So it doesn't take me that many teams to get overweight on them, right? It's not like I'm staring at a team that's going to have so much ownership where it's going to eat into it. I can play like Texas and the Brewers, the two teams I just talked about. I can play probably like 10 to 15% of them, and I'll be well enough overweight on those stacks overall. So like the Texas stack. And again, it's because it's just a bet against a young pitcher on a slate with some really good pitching and hoping he just gets a little bit wild. And also, maybe he still pitches okay, but he only goes like 3 or 4 innings. Let me get 5 innings against a bullpen. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. So overall, I think this is a good spot for these Texas bats.
Wonderful, darling. We'll move on to our next game. By the way, where are we with the like button? 216. You get us to 250. Somebody else gets some free RPS gear. That'll be amazing. Also, for those of you, if we don't get time to get the questions today, the subscribers know this. All you got to do is go in Discord and into our baseball chat, and you can hit them up. It's as simple as that. AP's in there right now, giving his advice. The captain has been in there. Nades has been in there. I'm sure DC will be asking or answering your questions today. Mangone, you might be in the NBA chat today. Would that be correct? You'll just be hanging out in NBA.
I'll be in both. I'll be in the Masters, in the golf chat as well. Right when we finish up, I'm going to do my baseball stuff, and then I'll do some golf, and then I'll be diving into the NBA. But I'll be in baseball for a little bit, short period of time, because then I got to dive into golf, and then we got NBA. So it's a long day, but we're going to grind it through.
The golf is the big one. We've got the Masters coming up tomorrow, and our sensational golf team is getting ready for that. Only a couple games to go. So let's get to these games. San Francisco at the White Sox. Again, DC, another weather game. We got the wind just blowing out 25 miles an hour to left field. Maybe a little Gigantes and the Pale Host. A lot of talk about Sox in our Discord as well. But yeah, what do you want to do with this game?
Yeah, extremely good hitting conditions here. Warm, humid, wind blowing out, kind of all 3 factors that you look for when trying to hunt down offense and specifically home runs. Problem is 2 good pitchers on the mound, Dylan Cease, Logan Webb. I did talk about some love for the Giants here. They've shown good power early on, and, this park obviously going to be very power friendly. Dylan Cease, very good pitcher, but at least relative to his talent level, also prone more to blow-ups than most pitchers that are capable of pitching as well as he can. So I do think the Giants are a sneaky stack. Nobody's going to be on them. I think they've got upside here. You can also run on Dylan Cease, which we know this year is way more of a factor in making DFS lineups than it's ever been before. So I do like the Giants a little bit. I'm mostly off the White Sox. Logan Webb, I thought looked really, really good in his first start against the Yankees. I think he gave up like a home run late in his start, but overall, he looked super, super sharp. I actually think he's kind of an interesting play at 7,500 if you want to get off the board. White Sox, they lost Eloy Jimenez already to the IL. Water is wet, I suppose. He just can't stay healthy. And yeah, I think Logan Webb could potentially pitch well here. Obviously, the White Sox have a lot of talent, a lot of power, and the weather is great. So yeah, you could pick off really any of these White Sox bats for, power potential against Webb, but I'm just going elsewhere today, and might even mix in a share of Webb or two on my teams.
Okay. Mangone, wind's blowing out. You want to get a part of this offense?
Yeah, I'm not like super excited about this game. I mean, DC touched on it a bit, but there's two pretty good arms out there. I could see it working, right? It's just the weather, but I've already liked other spots, right? If you want to do like a one-off here and there, some of these options, I wouldn't hate it completely. But like if you wanted like a Benintendi, Robert, as I like to call him, Grandal, like any of these guys as one-offs, sure, it could make some sense. DC to talk about liking that stack is five-man for the Giants, possibly as like a super contrarian one. Totally get it because you're betting on the weather. I just don't think I'm going to play this box. There's other ones I prefer.
So 219. I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants any other gear, Mangone. It's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's upsetting that people don't want gear. I mean, you got to get it home. We only got one more game, and we're not going to stall. I'm not going to sit here and stall. I got teams I got to go make. You got to get those likes pumped right now.
Spencer Smith, how many edibles you popping today? Zero edibles, my friend. I've been forced to take my girlfriend out to a nice dinner tonight. Unfortunately, I told her how much I won during the NCAA tournament, and she's taking 10%, or I will not get any lovin's for a little bit, and I don't want to do that. So that's where we're going. One more game to go. I just wanted to answer you honestly. For that story, that should get us to 250. What an amazing story it was. Detroit and Houston. Well, I mean, what we always say we could play Houston, right, DC? So who from Houston?
Yeah, pretty much the top five bats. This lineup really does fall off in the second half. But yeah, I mean, Pena, Bregman, Alvarez, Abreu, Tucker. It doesn't get much better of a top five than that. Eduardo Rodriguez, I think he was pretty shaky his first start. We like Houston when they're at home. So yeah, no problem going to the Astros here. They're not as high on my list as, Cardinals, Braves, and especially the Rays, but I do think they're a pretty good option. And then Tiger side, not going to much against Javier. He does give up a lot of fly balls, so there are potentially home runs to be had. So the power bats, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson has looked better recently, maybe Karen Carpenter. You could pick a one-off against these guys. They're all relatively cheap, but I wouldn't go crazy against Javier. I think he's one of the worst pitchers to stack against just because he doesn't give up very many hits. But if you want to try to pick off a home run, I don't hate it against Javier.
Okay. What do you got here, buddy? Last game, man, going.
Yeah, I don't got too much. I mean, I think the Astro stack is in play. It's just, I mean, they're obviously Eduardo Rodriguez. He's a guy that you can get a hold of. And Kyle Tucker, people don't play him against lefties, even though he can crush lefties. So I think he's certainly in play here. Yordan Alvarez, same with him. He can hit any side of the plate. It just don't matter. So I got interest in the Astros here. I think they're a solid stack, not a priority stack though, right? They're going to be one that probably like third on the list or so. There's a couple others I like a little bit more. They're more middle of the pack, but overall, Astro stack's in play. And if I do play this Astro stack, I am playing Tucker and Alvarez, right? We have enough salary to do it. And people get scared of that lefty, and I just don't get scared of it.
All right, I got a personal question for DC. Favorite one-off catcher? And could we play Mejia as part of this race stack?
Yeah, you can definitely play Mejia, but my favorite one-off catcher is from the Giants, Blake Sable.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 2,200. I think he might take Dylan Cease deep today.
Woo-hoo-hoo. That's a ballsy call right there. Okay.
Luckily, you can only be so wrong at catcher because most of them do nothing anyway. So
I mean, like Jonah Heim is a fine option always, right? Like,
sure, yep.
Jonah Heim, nothing amazing. I like Jonah Heim too.
Catcher's rough today, no question.
I think I might just pop Heim in there. All right, we're gonna get DC's play of the day. I'm gonna give you a spiel one more time, and then you got about a minute and a half to get to 250 likes. Okay, so here's the deal. 15% off first installment of a monthly plan by using the code Bobby15. It's for Bobby Hare. Bobby Hare, a wonderful person. Never met him. Maybe talked to him. Oh, we had him one time on a show. Not a very talkative fellow, but talked enough. Bobby15. Masters starting up tomorrow. Get all the boys' scores from that. Great golf team we got here. Baseball, DC, and the rest of us boys that do the baseball. NBA playoffs coming up. Our guys have been slaying NBA this year. Of course they do. Tennis, golf, everything. Anything you can think of besides for motocross. Let me just see if there's any other sports. More sports. NASCAR. Oh, NASCAR. JJ and the guys crushed NASCAR. NHL. Oh, yeah. Nades and the boys on NHL. So, yeah, just about everything. We got F1 coverage here. EuroLeague, esports, USFL coming up, XFL, soccer, anything and everything here at RPS. Let's get your play of the day, DC.
Yeah, obviously the Rays will be my highest owned team today. They are my favorite offense, but we'll go somewhere else for the play of the day. Go with Michael Conforto for the Giants against Dylan Cease. He'll be very low owned. He's cheap, 3,200, and I think the Giants hit a couple home runs off of Dylan Cease today. Maybe Conforto is one of them. So yeah, Michael Conforto, Mom's Basement, play of the day.
Okay, what do you got here, Mangone?
Yeah, I'm going with a guy in the Brew Crew. And he's been hitting the ball pretty well to start the season. Let's go with Brian Anderson. You can play him at third base. You can play him in the outfield as well. Get him in the platoon spot. And, hey, he's a cheap little value. You can use him as a one-off, a two-man, or if you want to do the five-man, make sure not to leave off Brian Anderson.
Yeah, I think the Schwarbaum's going deep today. No one's going to be on him. You know, he's facing cold. The wind's blowing in. This guy can just crush. So it really doesn't matter. Nate Spy just posted his core in the baseball chat for the premium. So make sure you check that out. Nade's had a couple of home run calls too. So you can check that out. But you got to be a member. Bobby 15% off your payment. Anything you'd like to say to the people as we leave, Mangone? Anything you got coming up later today?
Well, what's our likes at? How are those looking?
228. We're not giving away another one.
We're not giving it away.
One's enough. And I think 228 for a morning show is just fine. I'm happy.
Yeah, we gave away one piece of swag, so that's good.
Yeah.
But I'm doing the bet show at 8:00 tonight. We're gonna be rocking and rolling tonight. We got a lot going on. I got my baseball stuff that's up right now. I'm gonna put the cores up shortly on my single entry 3 max. Then I'm going to head over. I'm doing a golf thread today. I know DC loves the threads. I'm doing one of those. So you can check out that out for the Masters with tons of info in there. I'll be doing my single entry 3 max for golf. I'll be doing it for NBA as well. And I'm doing the bet show for the DFS side and bets. So that'll be a lot of fun hanging out with JJ, Uncle T. You can use that code Uncle T15, Snyder, Kurt. So yeah, a lot of fun. We got a lot of content going on. And then don't forget, 2 premium shows today. We got the final countdown show for some NBA stuff. NBA's been good to me over the past week or so. So I'm trying to get one more ship before the playoffs start up. So that'll be fun. And then we got the golf with Drew Matthews, Red Kachik, JSU, and Big T breaking it down, trying to ship a milli in the Masters. So be sure to check out all the content today.
We're so busy. We got so much content. Yep. My next show coming up at 6:00 Eastern, final countdown, JSU, Big T, AP, all-star squad there, getting you ready for tonight's NBA slate, which is a complete cluster. But Mangone, you know what? You're saying you're doing well. I will be tailing your core tonight. So I'm excited about that. DC, you'll start drinking in 5 minutes, I'm sure. Baseball all day. There's nothing else going on in your life, right?
Absolutely not. Fun day of baseball. And we will be back here tomorrow, I think at 11 Eastern time, 9 a.m. here, obviously, for an early baseball show again. Obviously, Masters will be going on, but yeah, tune into that. And going to be watching a lot of sports over the next 4 days with baseball and Masters, kind of around the clock sports. So fun time of year. Looking forward to it.
I always love this time of year too, because you say, oh, see, there's nothing to do after football season. Dude, football season's been done for 2 months. We had just coming off an awesome March Madness, NBA playoffs coming up. Tons of stuff. 15% off monthly installment, first payment. Bobby 15. Okay. Check out the rest of our stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, just give it a try. Give it a try already. It's silly that you're missing out on all the money. It's just silly. From Mangone, DC, I'm Holden. Keep running pure.